In the small city of Atsugi in Kanagawa Prefecture is a tunnel. The tunnel is long abandoned and said to be a powerful psychic spot in Japan. With rumors of a ghostly female figure lurking near the tunnel entrance and tales of people being spirited away, this spot has long attracted Japanese thrill seekers and paranormal investigators. Tonight, Supernatural Japan looks at the Yamagami Tunnel. Supernatural Japan, Episode 6, The Haunted Yamagami Tunnel. Welcome to another episode of the podcast. My name's Kevin O'Shea, and I'm the host of the Supernatural Japan podcast. And for this week's episode, I was digging around in the Japanese side of the internet for haunted tales and urban legends. I realized that as I search around the English internet about this topic, the supernatural paranormal topic, the topics themselves, or all the different stories and ideas, seem pretty repetitive. And there's a lot of, air quotes, been done out there many times. So, of course, while I plan to do some of those stories that we hear a lot about on the English internet, there's a lot of things I want to talk about that we don't see there. So, in this episode, I really looked at two topics. First of all, haunted tunnels. There are so many in Japan. There's some great haunted tunnel tales in Philip Jackson's book, Paranormal Kansai, and you'll remember him from episode 4. Sometime I'd love to have him back on the podcast to have a dedicated Haunted Tunnels of Kansai episode. The great thing about many of the tales in his book is that they are historically recorded. Accidents and tragedies that happen in those locations. And there are historical events that happened in those haunted tunnels. So there's something that we can kind of reach back for to kind of find a reason why something may happen. Now, in this episode, the well-documented history of tragic events behind the Yamagami Tunnel hauntings aren't really there. And this is what gets me on the next topic I wanted to look at in this week's episode, and that is that of urban legends. And just like in any culture, Japan has its fair share of urban legends. So what is an urban legend? Well, from the Urban Dictionary, it's a modern myth, a frightening, untrue story in which the storyteller insists is true, but has no evidence to back up. Also, it never happened to the storyteller, but someone removed from them. And while researching this paranormal location in Japan, I looked at a lot of blog posts by several Japanese bloggers and paranormal investigators who visited the actual location of the Yamagami Tunnel, explored it, and then wrote blog posts about it and made different YouTube vlogs about their experiences. Before we jump into the story of the Yamagami Tunnel, let's first talk about where it's located. Now, the location is Atsugi, which is in Kanagawa Prefecture. So Atsugi is a city located in Kanagawa Prefecture, Japan. As of the 1st of June in 2021, the city had an estimated population of about 223,000 people. Atsugi is located in the hilly center of Kanagawa Prefecture, approximately 28 miles from central Tokyo and 19 miles from central Yokohama. The area around present-day Atsugi City has been inhabited for thousands of years. Archaeologists have found ceramic shards from the Jomon period at numerous locations in the area. Atsugi is mainly known as a bedroom community of the Tokyo-Yokohama metropolitan area. All right, now the Yamagami Tunnel is a very popular place for Japanese explorers with an interest in the paranormal. There are a number of blog and Twitter posts from those traveling to the spot. According to one blogger, it was made famous as a psychic hotspot by Japanese musician and psychic researcher Kizoku Ikeda, who wrote about it in his book, Mystery Trip to the Kanto Suburbs. This site has also been explored on various Japanese TV shows, and many Japanese vloggers have made videos about the tunnel, and you can see a lot of those on YouTube, and you can see a lot of the links to those various videos in the Supernatural Japan Facebook group. Now, many of the bloggers, YouTubers, and explorers who visit the tunnel show pictures of a large gate that prevents cars from heading down the road to the tunnel. There are bear warning signs on the gate, and once you hop over the gate, you have to walk about 1 kilometer to the actual tunnel entrance. And there are pictures of that tunnel entrance in the Supernatural Japan Facebook group and on Instagram at Supernatural Japan. It is a pedestrian-only tunnel now. Explorers say it is pitch black inside, so you'll have to pack flashlights when you explore. The book, Mystery Trip to the Kanto Suburbs, describes it as a magnetic-free zone, so compasses don't work in the tunnel. But apparently, they don't work in the abandoned campground located on the opposite end of the tunnel as well. Now, this camp was called Fudoshiri Youth Camp and was owned by the Kanagawa government. It consisted of wooden huts and tent sites, but closed in 2002. It, too, is said to be a psychic hotspot. Now, what does that mean? I'm not really sure what a psychic hotspot is. Maybe it's kind of a hot zone where a lot of paranormal activity happens, a lot of sightings, haunting activity. I don't know. But these are the things that are written in a lot of different blog posts. Now, let's get into the hauntings. Apparently, a lot of creepy things happen in and around the Yamagami Tunnel due to 3 incidents, according to various Japanese bloggers. Now, what were these incidents? Well, number 1, the first is an accident within the tunnel while it was being constructed. It is said that 1 worker was killed and several were injured. The second incident that happened, according to legend, many people have been spirited away from this site. Now, many of you, when you hear the term spirited away, may first think of images from the iconic Miyazaki film by the same name. And when you search for the term and what it means in the Japanese blogs, spirited away means the mysterious disappearance or death of a person after they've angered the gods or kami. In these cases, probably simply the mysterious disappearance or death of someone who may have angered some sort of entity. I don't know. Now, the third reason for the hauntings. The third reason is a murder. If you visit the tunnel today, you will find there's a portable public toilet next to the main entrance of the tunnel. A blue chemical toilet that I know where I grew up, we call them Johnny on the Spots. Now, this was built, these bathrooms are on the location of an abandoned hut. And it was said that a woman was abducted and murdered in the public toilet that once stood on that spot. And the spirit is said to still be there. Now, as spooky as these tales are, there doesn't seem to be any specific historical evidence to corroborate the tales. After reading several blog posts by various paranormal investigators who explored and researched the site, there is no documentation of the construction accident. There is, in fact, a tunnel in Kyushu named the Yamagami No. 2 Tunnel, which is said to have had known accidents. Could people have mixed up the 2 tunnels? And the stories grew. Many witnesses are convinced that they've seen ghosts dressed in construction workers' clothes in or near the tunnel. Others have also claimed to have witnessed mysterious figures in construction clothes crossing empty roads nearby late at night. Many witnesses have claimed to have seen a female ghost peering out from the public toilets at night as well. Some others have claimed to see shadow people in and around the tunnel at night and have heard the sounds of happy children playing from inside the tunnel at night. That sounds pretty unsettling. The idea of shadow people and, well, there's nothing creepier, in my opinion, than the sound of children playing when you're in a dark, empty tunnel. So in general, the Yamagami Tunnel sounds pretty haunted and creepy. It also sounds as if there are a lot of elements of a great urban legend that's happening there, a great urban legend spot. There are many stories and tales that are all rumored to have happened, or someone read that someone else said something. What I like about this spot is that this place is not in the English air quotes, haunted Japan blogosphere. And these tend to be a lot of places, the kind of place that I really want to kind of dig into with the Supernatural Japan podcast, places that we normally don't find in the English Twitter sphere, YouTubeosphere, if that's a term. So that's kind of one of the goals, is to dig up places that we may not know about, we English speakers, that is. So, amongst Japanese explorers, thrill seekers, and paranormal enthusiasts, the Yamagami Tunnel in Atsugi, Kanagawa, is a hotspot indeed. Now, if you're curious to know more about it, then check out some of the photos that I have put on the Supernatural Japan Facebook group and the Instagram feed. There's also going to be some links to various YouTube videos, some screen caps of some tweets, and some other very cool things. Wow. So there we go. A bit of a short episode this week, but I hope you liked my little dive into the Japanese spooky internet for this week's episode, and there will be a lot more of this to come. My name is Kevin O'Shea, and I am the host of the Supernatural Japan podcast. Now, before we wrap things up this week, I want to give a big hello to any Just Japan podcast listeners who found their way to the new podcast. After a 3-year absence, I posted a mini episode in the old Just Japan podcast feed to let listeners know where I am and about this new spot, this new space where I am creating and making Japan content. So a big thanks for their support, and a big thanks to all of you for your support. Thank you so much for listening to the podcast. Now remember to leave a review and rating wherever you listen to the podcast. It certainly helps a lot. Now, one recent review on Apple Podcasts goes, and this is from the CrossFit Otaku, that this is great. Love the podcast so far. I was a long-time listener of Just Japan podcast, and now to hear a supernatural part is awesome. Well, that was a great review, and thank you so much, CrossFit Otaku number 19. That was fantastic. And you guys out there listening, you can definitely leave reviews too on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, wherever you listen to this podcast. Now, come on over and join the Supernatural Japan Facebook group to see all the photos and videos I've been talking about from the Yamagami Tunnel. And that is over at facebook.com/groups/Supernatural Japan. And you can also like the Supernatural Japan podcast on Instagram to see more content as well. Instagram.com/Supernatural Japan. And you can find videos and stuff over there too. Now, remember to share this podcast on your social media and with your friends. And next week, I can promise we'll be having some more cool content. The episode will be a little bit longer, the next few episodes, actually, with some really cool, awesome content and interviews coming your way as well. All right, folks, that is it for this episode of the Supernatural Japan podcast. Take care, and we will see you soon.